Hope FM Live, and you can interact with us on those platforms. So our focus today is mental health, self-care. What is that all about, and how can you ensure that you are, healthy mentally? That's what we'll be focusing on. Any question you have or comment, talk to us on 20933 at Hope FM Live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And our WhatsApp line is 0717 400 555. Allow me to salute many of us who joined us during the worship hour. God bless you so much. Asante sana. Special shout out to Salonia Mama Kinyi. Nasikia hapo mnatusikiza Hope FM as you bless, as you braid your customers, doing the blow dry and offering your great services. Asante sana. We salute you. Thank you for keeping it Hope FM. Listen and leave. Every matatu tuned in, every personal car tuned in, every hotel tuned in, supermarket tuned in. Asante sana. Every home tuned in, every office tuned in. We appreciate you so much. And of course, those listening to us on DSTV, GoTV, and Zuku, we also salute you from wherever you are in Kenya and around the globe. At this point, allow me to introduce my guest who is here to help us, with this discussion about mental health, self-care. Dr. Rose, good morning.
Morning, Grace.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I always say until January ends, we still say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Asante. Can you take an opportunity to introduce yourself, what you do, and what are you passionate about?
Wow, thank you. As you've heard, my name is Dr. Rose Ngondi Okarao. I'm a clinical psychologist and I'm a lecturer. I also work at Chiromo Hospital Group. I love teaching. I love empowering people through dissemination of information. And I love encouraging people to live up to their potential. Because I believe everyone was created for a purpose. And it's my desire that each and every person I interact with, I'm able to tap or to identify their purpose and encourage them to becoming the best they can ever be of themselves.
Wow.
Yes.
Such a great passion you have right there. Yeah. So why is it important, the first question I had, why is it important to talk about mental health, at the beginning of the year?
Wow. A good question, Grace. Let me submit to us that there is no health without mental health. There is no health without mental health. The fact that someone doesn't have depression, the fact that someone has not been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, it does not mean that they are healthy. No. There is no health, Grace, without mental health.
Yeah.
And number two, mental health is more than an absence of a mental disorder. It's more than lack of, you don't have depression. It's more than I don't have anxiety. Mental health is more than that. And as we'll be defining what is mental health, then I think every other person will be in a better position to understand the importance of mental health in our day-to-day living. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's dive into it. So what is mental health? There's so many words also that I hear people say. There is mental health, there is mental illness, there is mental disorder, there is mental... what else? There were around 4 words I had. I'll remember the other one and let you know. But let's define what is mental health.
Wow, mental health. Now, mental health, and this one I define it from WHO, which is an authority on matters health. It is a state of well-being where an individual is able to live up to their potential. That's number one. Number two, the individual is able to cope with the normal stresses of life. An individual is able to work productively and fruitfully. And an individual is actually able to make a contribution in the community. So it encompasses so many parameters. One, are you living up to your potential? Number two, are you able to cope with normal stresses of life? And you see, life will always have encounter pressure in life. But how best are you? How well equipped are you to cope with the normal? I'm putting the word normal, like traffic jam.
Yes.
You see, you are meeting one of your friends and they are late. How well are you in managing normal stresses of life? Number three, Are you able to actually work productively and fruitfully? And are you able to make a contribution in your community? And community could be in your family, it could be where you work, it could be where you go to church. Community can entail any place that has a gathering of people. So basically, that is what we call mental health, a state of well-being, and you are able to perform those 4 parameters in your day-to-day living. But at the same time,
Yes.
when you talk about mental health, it is a spectrum. It is not, I have good mental health, I have poor mental health.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum.
Yes.
And we all oscillate in that spectrum. And in that spectrum, we have the healthy on one end. Then after healthy, we have you are a little bit stressed with the normal stresses of life. Then you move to struggling. You are no longer stressed. You are now struggling. And then now you hit the crisis. So at the one end is a healthy person.
Yes.
On the extreme end is a crisis. However, there is the in-between. Stress, and then there is where you find yourself struggling in life. And once you realize you are struggling in life, then that can really put you at a risk of developing mental disorder or what you call mental illness.
So disorder and illness can be diagnosed if you've moved, let me say, to the extreme spectrum of mental health.
Yes. It's at that point now when you hit the crisis level. Remember, it's a spectrum.
Yes.
When now you hit the crisis level, and it is a process. It's not just something that happens one morning. It is a process. Once you hit now what you call the crisis stage of the spectrum, that's where now we can see someone is having a mental disorder or a mental illness. The 2 words can be used interchangeably.
Okay.
Now, someone will ask me then, what's a mental disorder?
Before we go there, you know, the way you've explained, Dr. Rose, it's a process and it has stages. In this Kenya yetu we live, you've had kitu kidogo tu, by then in a stress, nasikia niko depressed. You know, we use those words lightly. I would like you to give maybe an example of this situation means this person is struggling and it's moving towards a crisis. To help us differentiate from the common words we say in a stress, niko depressed, and maybe it's just an issue. I was late for work, I was punished. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about a crisis, Grace,
Yeah.
it basically means that what you are going through has affected you so much that there is a significant impact in your day-to-day living. So there is significant impact in your productivity. As a mother, how you relate with your family, how you relate with your children. If it is your workplace, there is an impact in your workplace.
And
You
this
are no
impact is negative or positive?
negative.
Okay.
To the point you can sit and say, this is not me. You go to the office and you realize you don't have the energy. You are irritable. It's true when you are stressed, at some point you are in control of yourself. But it gets to a point whereby you feel, no, this is affecting my day-to-day living and in a significant manner. It's in the morning I'm supposed to go to work, but I feel tired, I feel I don't have the energy, and I continue sleeping in as much as I know I need this job.
Yeah.
You see, then that means you're not now stressed. You're actually in a state of crisis. And at times what happens, people will tell you, Grace, there's something happening. You don't look okay. But as you have said, in Kenya or in Africa or any other place, like, no, I'm okay. God is with me, I'm praying about it.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point whereby it now becomes an emergency. It actually becomes an emergency. So that's what I mean by the crisis. And now it's at that point, it's a crisis. One can be identified now, can be diagnosed with a mental disorder.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's define mental disorder. What is that?
Okay, mental disorder. Now, mental disorder basically, it refers to a range of conditions, meaning there are many, that affect the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave.
Repeat that again.
Is a range of conditions that affect the way you think, affect the way you feel, and affect the way you behave. So for a psychiatrist or a psychologist to diagnose someone with a mental disorder, it means their thoughts, feelings, and behavior is not in the normal range, right?
Yes.
Like I come here and I tell you I am Jesus Christ. Or I am Mary, Mother of God.
You know, there was something like that in media the other day.
Yes. And then that's what it means. So anytime someone is diagnosed with a mental disorder, it basically means there is a shift in their thinking, there is a shift in their feelings, and there is a shift in the way they behave. However, let me bring out something very important.
Yes.
That you might not be diagnosed with a mental disorder like depression, generalized anxiety, schizophrenia, bulimia, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You might not be diagnosed with that. But there is something we call mental health problem.
What is
And
that?
that's where a majority of us are.
Mental health problem.
Yes.
What is that?
Now, mental health problem means it refers to symptoms associated with the mental disorder. But these symptoms, the symptoms are not sufficient. The severity of these symptoms is not sufficient for them to be regarded or to be diagnosed as a mental disorder. For instance, stress. Stress is not a mental disorder, but it's a mental health problem. Stress and burnout. And that's where a majority of people are.
Yeah.
They're not having a mental disorder, but they're having a mental health problem. Let me give an example. When you talk about stress, if you can tell me what is the one sign of stress when someone is stressed?
I think irritable. Irritable.
Concentration is
Concentration,
poor.
yes.
Memory.
Yes.
Sleep also, you either oversleep or you lack sleep. Appetite, some people when they are stressed, they eat a lot. Others, they don't eat. They lose appetite. Do you know the same symptoms are in depression? They're in depression.
Yeah.
But the severity of these symptoms when you are stressed is not as severe as depression.
Let's use school fees, Dr. Karau. You know, watoto waenda shule. There was Christmas, we ate, we jibambered. And then now, of course, government did that thing. The children were at home for a while. And then now they are in school. They're supposed to be in school from this week. And many parents, you meet them, they're like, because lakini ina stress. So is it possible to use that example to show the difference between stress and depression?
Now, stress, something else I also want to point out. Stress is a normal reaction. It's a very normal response. Actually, whenever your body senses danger, your mind will actually respond. And stress is a normal physiological response by the body. So it's very normal. However, stress, when the pressure exceeds the capacity, then that is what we call stress now. If for sure I don't have school fees, but I am thinking of how to sort it out, it is okay. You are stressed. But the question is this: when this lack of school fees significantly affects your normal functioning, then there's a problem. You don't want to sleep, you're irritable in the house, you change. Your thoughts change, your feelings change, your behavior change. Some people, when they are stressed, they go into drinking. You start doing things as a way of managing stress. And now that you have mentioned about stress, how you manage, how you cope with stress, Grace, can put you at a risk of developing a mental disorder.
Talk to us about that.
How you manage stress can put you at a risk of developing a mental disorder. Basically what I'm saying, stress does not cause mental disorders. It's how you cope with stress. How you manage stress. That's what puts you at a risk of developing a mental disorder, and particularly depression. Because if when I am stressed, I decide to withdraw from people, I isolate.
Yes.
That's a risk factor. When I am stressed, I decide I'm going to drink. That's a risk factor. When I am stressed, I decide to do, not to eat. That's a risk factor. So it is not basically stress. It is how we cope with stress. You can cope with stress in a positive way, adaptive way, or you can cope with stress in a maladaptive manner. But at the same time, let me also mention, mental health problems, they significantly affect the individual. They do. But they do not necessarily mean you'll develop a mental disorder. Because it's more on the coping.
Yeah.
How do you cope when you are stressed? And that's very, very important. Yes.
I'm hearing Dr. Rose, you say the word coping. How you are coping with it will determine if you'll come back to be a healthy person mentally or you'll go down the drain.
Yes.
Okay. And for our listeners and those following us online, you are on Praise Junction at Hope FM. Listen and live. My name is Grace Matisse. I'm hosting Dr. Rose Gondi. That's the word, the name?
Yes.
Karao.
Karao Gondi, they are mine.
Karao Gondi,
They are
a
mine.
clinical psychologist helping us with the topic mental health self-care. That's our topic today, mental health self-care. Do you have any question, or comment on our today's topic? Please, our SMS line is 20933 at Hope FM Live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where we are streaming live, or you can WhatsApp us on 0717 400 555. I'm sure you have some questions, either for yourself or for asking for a friend. Those ones are also allowed. You can ask on behalf of your friend. So, Dr. We've defined mental health, we've defined mental disorder or mental illness, and you've helped us define the difference.
Yes.
In all the three and given us examples.
Yes.
So what is self-care in relation to mental health?
Wow. Self-care. Now, self-care basically means taking the time. Meaning self-care is intentional. You must decide. It is taking your time to do things that will help you live well and improve your physical and mental health. Self-care is intentional. And specifically, let me say mental health self-care is intentional. And even before you think of self-care, Grace, it's important for us to reflect on our lives. Because self-awareness is the heartbeat of change. You can't change that which you are not aware of. You can't. And it's important for us, number one, to realize that there is no health without mental health. And with that knowledge, we all take a break and we self-evaluate ourselves. And we get to know, how did I take care? How was my mental health? This is January, where people make goals.
Yes.
How was my mental health in the last year, 2022? What do I need to do in 2023? Because if I had issues in mental health, and I want to bring out, when I talk about mental health, I'm talking about mental disorders and mental health problems. What can I do different in 2023?
Yeah.
And one has to be intentional. And part of the self-awareness, Chris, especially with stress, because this is January.
Yes, yes.
Soon we are taking kids to Form 1. And things can be tough. It's very important each person takes a break. I call it a me time. And you ask yourself, what are my red flags? especially on matter stress.
Yeah.
Because stress affects us cognitively, affects us behaviorally, affects us physically, and it affects us emotionally. Right?
Yes.
And the way stress manifests in me is not the same way it will manifest in you, Grace. So we need to identify, what are my symptoms? What are my red flags? What is this one thing I feel it and like, Rose, you are stressed? What is this one thing? Or what are these two things are my red flags?
Yeah.
Emotionally, some people become irritable. Emotionally, some people, what do? They start overeating. Others, they lack appetite. Others become irritable. Cognitively, some people's memory is affected. I keep giving this good example, and at times people really laugh.
Yes.
There are moments you move from one room in the house. You go to the kitchen. Once you get there, it's like, what did I want to pick from the kitchen?
Oh, no.
And then, as our
Dr.
parents, and I know our parents told us, and I was also told the same.
Yes.
Because for me, I was told, go back to where to the initial room. Sit down, and you remember what you're supposed to think.
Retrace your steps.
Retrace your steps.
Yes.
Or you are holding your phone, and you are looking for it. That in itself should be a red flag to somebody. I'm not saying you have a mental disorder, but it's a red flag that I think I'm a little bit stressed. Some people physically, another symptom of stress when someone is a physical one. Some people, they either experience diarrhea or others constipation. So there are some people, they know when I see this, I know I'm stressed.
Yeah.
What is your red flag? I want to challenge our listeners. What is your red flag? Identify your red flag and be sincere with yourself. Let that be the best way you can know how you are doing mentally.
Yes.
As far as your mental health is concerned.
Let's talk about work environment. It's easy to talk about, my space, my home, my family. It's a safe space. I'm able to tell, hey, I'm snapping. Maybe I'm shouting too much to my children. I'm forgetting food in the stove and it's burning.
Yes.
I'm giving people burnt offerings plus the rest. In a workplace, and I'd love you to maybe to talk to two categories of people. They are supervisors and they are staff. So how can a supervisor be able to tell, this person, these signs are not good, they're not well mentally? And how can a supervisor know on their own you're not well? Even in a home setup, you have employed a nanny. How can you be able to tell nanny, I need time out for her? Yeah.
Now, a good question. And that brings in another aspect of psychology.
Yes.
Emotional intelligence. Right?
Yes.
Because especially for supervisors, anybody who have people under him or her, emotional intelligence is of paramount importance. And basically, when you talk about emotional intelligence, is the capacity to identify your own emotions,
Yes,
understand them, and manage them. Yours as well as for other people.
yes.
So emotional intelligence is not just about Dr. Rose. It's about me being in a place to identify my emotions, understand them, manage them, and do the same to other people.
Yes.
Such that if I am able to know, as Rose, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm a little bit irritable today. So when I go to the office, I am aware I am irritable. But I am also able to manage myself. That's the time I'll tell someone, kindly just give me, for the next 1 hour, don't come into my office as I manage myself.
Yes.
You get the picture?
Yes.
Because if you're not emotionally intelligent as a leader, you will not manage the emotions of the people in the office. How?
You can't.
You can't. So it will be easier because I have learned how to pick my emotions. I'll be very fast to pick the emotions of people who are working with me. I get to the office, I don't need to say much. I can look at somebody and it's like someone's demeanor is different today. So I will not throw words carelessly. No. That's the time I can even call the person and I'm like, today I observe you look a little bit down.
Yeah.
Something you'd want to talk about. And you see, let me tell you, Grace.
Yes.
It feels so good when your leader picks that you have an issue even before you talk to them. That is empathy.
Yeah.
It's even if the leader will not sort you out, the fact that they cared enough, that is already a motivation. So basically that goes to emotional intelligence. It's very important.
Yes.
And emotional intelligence has become one of the major concepts for successful leadership. Successful leadership. Because you manage people.
True.
You see, a leader, you are successful because the people who are working with you are also successful. So if you are not successful, if they fail, you are told you have failed. So if you want to be a success as a leader, if you want to be victorious, then you must be emotionally intelligent. And once you're emotionally intelligent, you'll be able to manage the emotions of the people that you are leading.
Okay.
Yes.
That's key for a leader.
Oh my, Grace,
Yes.
that is key more than even academic credentials.
True.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Now for members, assume you have this leader who doesn't care. Hapa ni kazi imetuleta, by there kuna feelings. So how can we help this member know, hey, mentally, I don't think I'm okay. This workspace is not safe for me. You know, how? Talk to now that stuff.
That's tough. Number one, can they pick it? Self-awareness.
Yes.
Yeah? I'm having headaches. I've lost motivation. You get the picture? So what they need to do, now that's where self-care comes in. Remember, self-care is self.
Care. Not
So can
someone's
you,
care.
No. And you see, how can you be in a toxic environment? Allow me to use the word toxic.
Yes.
Because even when you are having conflict with your colleagues, that's still toxic in a way, because you have to be in the same office. The question is how can I still survive? How can I still take care of myself in this very environment? And that's where now self-care comes in. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And we'll be looking at self-care because it has different components.
Yes.
It has different components.
Yes. Let's talk about environment that we usually forget. Nannies, who are very special people, close to our hearts. They take care of the most precious commodity for any couple or any mom or dad. How can the parents identify, hey, my nanny? Most of them even don't talk.
They don't.
But you end up hearing stories, has beaten a child to death, has...
Let me tell you, I wish all ladies can know and wake up to the realization of the importance of the nannies. You know, you come to a point and you realize this is a very, very important person. That realization is very important because it is that realization, Grace, that will make you treat that lady differently. And they are human beings.
Yeah.
So I think every lady listening to me, how I pray. Oh, I am born again. I don't know that I mentioned
Amen.
that. I'm born again.
Yes.
I wish every lady listening to me will wake up to the realization on the importance of these nannies and treat them as such. There are moments you will choose to shut your mouth simply because you found that the house was not cleaned. There are moments you'll choose to tell that lady, sit. Because what those people require, Grace, because I've had nannies, they just want love.
True.
Not spoken. Not the spoken love. The practical.
Yeah.
The practical love. That's all they need. Such that I don't need... I need to be sensitive and realize this lady has worked too much. What about giving her a break? Grace, if you and I were to take the role of nannies, you'd agree with me. It is not easy.
It is not.
It is not easy.
True.
So number one, every lady needs to realize nannies are very, very important people. Why am I saying so, Grace? Childhood experiences. The first 5 years of a child, the development of a child is very crucial. So whoever interacts with your child is a very, very important person. And that is the nanny. Because after I give birth, after a few months, I'm back to work. I leave this child with a nanny. what will happen? Does this nanny love my kids unconditionally? But you know that will come from, do I love the nanny
Unconditionally.
Whatever you give the nanny will give to your children.
In same measure or
The
even more.
same measure.
Running down.
Oh, and I'm telling you, the same measure. And unfortunately, you might not realize it until a few years later. Nannies are very, very important people in our homes. They are not supposed to work 24/7. They are human beings. Let's demonstrate love. Demonstrate, not speak it. Demonstrate love. Can a nanny call you mom in your own house? And you see, the word mom is not just a name. It is a relational term.
Yes.
Relational. So when this nanny looks at you, sees a mother figure in you. And for a nanny to call you mom or auntie or whatever, it shows respect. So that would be my take. Nannies are very important.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there telltale signs? I assume you've done or you have expressed the love to this nanny. She calls you mom. You have this perfect relationship. You can even see it in the children. The nanny is good. But can this nanny still go through not being well mentally? And what are some of the signs to look out for? And how can you help?
Good. They're also human beings. And there's where they're coming from also. Right? So it's always good to let me say, one of the important things when it comes to mental disorders, it's observation. Observation. Right?
Yes.
And not very official observation, non-formal observation, where you are sitting somewhere, you're observing somebody. That's why at times psychologists, we are accused that we keep reading people's minds. Just observation.
Yes.
Casually. Be it in the morning, be it at night, but always be observative. You can tell when there is a change in behavior. Not only for nannies. How can I tell my husband, my wife, my child has a mental disorder?
Yes.
Observation. What do I mean? A change in behavior. My wife loved doing this. She loved cooking. She loved this. But now things have changed over time. My child loved going out to play with other children. Nowadays he's isolated. Even they don't want to watch television. They just want to live in their own room. You get the picture?
Yes.
Any red flag for someone with a mental disorder or someone with a mental health problem is behavior change. Any behavior change, please. And I want to talk to parents, especially when children come from school, especially boarding schools, because so much is happening in our schools, especially boarding.
Yes.
Please have your eyes opened to see any change with behavior in a child, because that's already a red flag. Even at home, as you sit with your children, change. Because even nannies can also do bad things to our children.
Yes.
How will I know? Behavior change with those children. They don't want to stay with the nanny. Or when you are leaving, you want to go to work, they cling to you.
Yes.
They don't want you to leave. And it's a change. Initially, they were so okay.
Yes.
Then that's a red flag. Take your time. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rose. We're talking about mental health self-care. That's our topic of discussion today. We have a few minutes to get to the top of the hour. Kennedy Kimani, aka Celeb, is standing by with the news at noon. So what question do you have? Our SMS line is wide open, 20933. You can also get us on WhatsApp, 0717400555. You can also get us at Hop FM Live on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm trying to sample a few comments here. Mark, let's check down here. Makari Mark, you're tuned in from Bungoma. Asante sana. Denise Sisia, you're saying tuko pamoja. Asante. Martha Kilonzo, you're saying Preach, daktari. My nanny on Nanny, loud and clear. You know, say, ongeza volume hapo. Victoria Katel, Tabasamu Shop, Mikindani, are tuned in. Thank you so much. Makale, asante for listening to us from Ngong. Kisumu is tuned in courtesy of Anthony. Sheila Obuya is having a question which we'll tackle in the next hour. She's asking, can stress lead to depression? We'll be getting to your questions. Let's scroll up here in the next hour, Sheila, so stand by for that. Alison Kialo, you're tuned in from Kitu. You're saying, kindly shed some light on difference between postpartum depression and psychosis. We'll be getting to your question in the next hour. Thank you, Shari. Sami Watome, asante sana. Sam Blessing, Morris Akumu, I can see right there. GM Kurie, you're saying insightful. Kindly, thank you for that proposal. GM, ebu tuongee hapo kwa DM, we see what we can do. Asante Kimeto from Nairobi, you're tuned in. Joseph, you're tuned in from Buruburu, asante sana. Evangelist Abigail, how are you doing? Thank you for listening to us. And also my good friend Christina McGeorge, asante for quickly tuning in today. Allow us to have this break. When we come back, we'll be answering your questions. Then we'll get to a point on what are the benefits of self-care when it comes to mental health and some practical things we can do to help us. And of course, sampling more of your questions. Keep it right here at Top FM, listen and live. And you know, there are great words that can help you be well mentally. And that's just the word of God. Ukiongeza hiyo hapo, mentally, uko tu sawa.